You're listening to the Platform Launchers podcast. I'm John Stange, and it's great to have you with us this week, as always, as we talk about building and growing and monetizing your online platform. We're talking about taking your passion, turning it into a platform so you can earn a paycheck from it. And that's a very relevant concept for us tonight, because this week, what we're talking about is this idea of the things that we're selling. So, what are you selling, and is it what your audience needs? This is a useful concept for us to wrestle with, whether you're at an early stage of developing your online business or your online platform, or whether you've been doing this for a while, because this is something we always need to be thinking about if we're looking to build, grow, and monetize our online platforms. And like I've said, you've probably heard me say this many times in the past, I'm a big advocate of monetizing your online platform when it makes sense to do so, because that will fund your ability to produce additional content. I don't think that our main motivation should be monetization, but I do think it's worth having as a secondary source of motivation, because those who monetize their online content typically end up creating more of it and finding that they're able to dedicate more time to it. So what we're talking about this week, this idea of what are you selling and is it what your audience needs? The goal is that it would help you monetize your online content in such a way that you get to do more of it and you get to serve people in a bigger way, like scaling up what you're doing in the world of your online platform. Before we jump into our topic really quickly, I just want to invite you to stop over at platformlaunchers.com. You will find a whole bunch of resources over there that'll help you build your online business and build your online platform. Just go to platformlaunchers.com and snoop around on the site. You're going to find a whole bunch of freebies, and you're going to find some other content that we have available for you there that really will help you build, grow, and monetize your online platform. Now, speaking of that phrase, a phrase that you often hear me use, not long ago I received a message from a man who had read my book, Build, Grow, and Monetize Your Online Platform. That's the name of the book. You see the theme, right? But he had told me, he said that he read it from cover to cover. He said he was interested in building an online platform of his own, but he wasn't really sure which direction to take. He had multiple ideas, but he was also working a full-time job, and he didn't want to make poor use of the limited time that he had. He wanted to make sure that he used it well. If he was going to build something, he wanted to make sure that his time was dedicated towards something that would actually be fruitful. And so he emailed the details to me, and he asked me a very simple question after he sent those details my way. He said, okay, here's the details of what I want to do, and I want to know, do you offer coaching packages for people like me? That was his question. Do you offer coaching packages for people like me? And I replied, and I told him that I did. And then I pointed him to the bottom of one of the pages on my website where he could register for a session. There's actually several places on my website. At the time, it was at the bottom of my homepage when I messaged him, but now I have coaching options that are right in my top banner and other places on the site. Sent him to that. He clicked the button, he signed up immediately, and he paid for the coaching session. So that's one thing I just want you to file away in the back of your mind. That one happened a little while ago. Here's one that just happened today. Today, as I'm recording this. Earlier today, I was talking to someone who has a specific need related to her business. And her questions, she had several questions that she sent my way, but I think I'd call her questions maybe mindset and a little bit leadership development, kind of the nature of the questions that she was asking. But those were the needs that she's really wrestling with her online business. And so after we finished our quick conversation via email, she then booked a coaching call for later this week. And so we're going to be chatting through some of these things later this week, and I'll do my best to offer some counsel that I hope is particularly helpful to her in her context. Now, I mentioned these two recent examples because I want to point out a commonality between both of them. Both of these situations actually provided a great opportunity for me to direct a potential customer to a button that they could click on my website, or a form they could fill out on my website that would allow them to purchase something that would be helpful to them. I mentioned to our members club, they are live here on the call here with me as I record the podcast. We have our members club live here with me, and it's kind of fun to record this in front of our group. But I mentioned this before I started the podcast this week, and I mentioned this another time, not too terribly long ago, and I guess it would be a few months back. But I was having a conversation with our members club about earning income online, and we were talking about that. We were talking about that a little bit tonight as well. That's a goal that most of our community members would like to reach, to be able to earn an income online. Some, I would say, are already making a full-time living from their online content, which is wonderful. That's something that we want to continue encouraging. Some are making supplemental income from their online platform, which is fantastic. And some of our newer members are in the process of preparing to make their first dollar online and are very early in what this looks like. And so we've got people all over the map in our members club. But to those who had not started making an income yet, I brought this up a few months ago, and I'm bringing this up again this week. I just like asking this question. If someone actually goes to your website, if they decide to go to your website, what will they find for sale? What's for sale? Like, what could they actually buy if they went to their website? And oftentimes when I ask people that question, one of the things that I discover is that there's nothing for sale. Sometimes I'll ask people that question, and it'll be in a context of maybe them experiencing some frustration that they're not yet earning an income from the content that they're producing online. And so we'll just do a little bit of an inventory. And the inventory involves just looking through their website or looking through where they're directing people. And then we quickly discover they don't have something that they're yet making available. And so we kind of wrestle through that. We look through that and think of some ideas that might be helpful. Now, I also mentioned to our members club recently, tonight in particular, I was just mentioning the name Nick Loper. And if you're listening to our podcast right now, I'd encourage you to also maybe Google the name Nick Loper or put it in your favorite podcasting app, because Nick Loper is the host of the Side Hustle Show podcast. And he's somebody that I've actually had the privilege to meet. He's somebody that I have taken a lot of encouragement from, but he also wrote a book several years ago called Buy Buttons. I've referenced it on this podcast before. It's a great book. I'd recommend it to every online entrepreneur, and I like the term he uses there, buy buttons. He uses it throughout the book because it's a reminder that our websites and our online platforms should be peppered with buttons or opportunities that make it easy and very obvious for people to be able to purchase the content and the services that we've put together to help solve their problems. And so he talks about that, and I'll just kind of throw that out to you. Do you have some of those buy buttons on your own website? Do you have something that if people wanted to utilize your services, that they'd be able to easily find a way they could do that? Or if somebody wanted to purchase a piece of content from you, would they be able to easily do that by looking at your website? Would they be able to find on your online platform those buttons that direct them to your products and services? Now, I realize some who may be listening to us right now may be actually saying, I'd love to add some buy buttons to my website, but I don't actually yet know what to sell. It's a question that I often hear from people. What should I sell? I'd like to put something like that out there, but I'm not exactly certain what to sell. Okay, well, that's a common thought. So if that's how you're feeling right now, I'd like to break down a few options that might spark a few ideas for you. And these are options I bring up because many of these are options that I presently utilize, but they're also very common ways that people monetize online platforms. And if one of these options seems particularly interesting to you, let me just encourage you to experiment with it. Start offering it on your website as soon as possible. Make it easy for people to just be able to click a button on your website and start paying you for your expertise. Now, let me give you a few options here to consider. These are options that I think are very practical and options that you hear me mention from time to time, but let me synthesize them into just a kind of like a cluster of ideas. So number one, I would say, if you're trying to figure out what to begin offering on your website, start with this. Offer your freelancing skills. So that could include things like graphic design, could include things like programming. It could include things like web development or marketing or virtual assistants or anything like that. You also have websites like Upwork or Fiverr or Freelancer that connect freelancers with clients seeking their expertise. But I would say just start with offering your freelancing skills. Secondly, another option you could do if you're looking to actually earn an income online is open an online store. So, an online store is something where you could utilize either Amazon or eBay or Etsy, maybe something like that, to sell physical products, or in very, very much those same spaces, you could sell digital products like ebooks or courses or software. These are things that could be digitally delivered. In fact, a friend of mine not too terribly long ago, she started custom designing necklaces and then selling them in her own online store. And it was kind of interesting. She experimented with this, and within a few days of announcing it, she nearly sold out of her entire inventory. We actually bought one of the necklaces for our daughter, and it was pretty cool to be able to see it and receive it and just kind of support a friend of ours who was doing something entrepreneurial. But she opened up an online store, and that's what she made available on her platform. A third thing you could do is this: if you're trying to figure out what to actually sell so that you can earn a living from what you're doing online, if you don't have a product of your own, you can sell somebody else's product. You can become an affiliate for a product that somebody else created and then share the revenue with them. In fact, a close friend of mine just started doing this with some of my online courses. She promotes them to her email list, and then as sales are made, we split the revenue. So she's sharing my content with other people. And then the system that I use tracks the fact that people heard about these things through her recommendation. As people purchase them through her recommendation, I split the revenue with her. It's an arrangement that works well for both of us because it's giving me an opportunity to serve her audience and to meet their needs. But she's also introducing me to customers that I wouldn't have met just on my own. And for her trouble, she's receiving monthly commissions for having done so. It's very much a win-win scenario. All right, number 4 on my list is this, and this is something that some people hesitate to do, but I would encourage you to consider doing this because it's oftentimes a very, very obvious, sometimes very lucrative way to actually monetize your online platform, and that's to offer coaching or consulting. Coaching literally can be one of the fastest ways to earn an income online, and it's also rather lucrative. Sometimes it's more lucrative than people realize. I recently spoke for it was an author's workshop, and there was a group of authors that gathered together, and I'm actually speaking for the same group in just a few days from now, a little bit later this month. But I told this group when I was first meeting with them how much they could make with coaching, and as I was talking to them, they were surprised, especially when I told them that the going rate for online coaching is at least $200 per hour. They were very surprised. Most people did not even imagine that they could charge that much. I actually charge more than that for my coaching, but even if you charged half that, so let's say if the going rate is 200 and you only charged 100, well, the truth is $100 an hour is much more than most traditional jobs are willing to pay. If you went and were looking for a traditional source of income and they offered you $100 an hour, I imagine you would think that that was very good pay. Well, with coaching, you can earn twice that or more. I actually have a friend who charges $2,500 for an hour of coaching. I have another friend who charges $1,000 for an hour of coaching. My point is, coaching and consulting could be very lucrative and a great way for you to monetize what you're doing. A fifth option, we were just talking about this with some of our members here prior to the podcast starting, is selling a course. And the cool thing about selling courses is they don't have to be long, but I'm sure that that's something that that you can create that others would find valuable. People love online courses. We were recently talking about creating online courses with Canva. I think that that's a fantastic option. And if you use Kajabi for your website like I do, I build my main platforms are all built with Kajabi at this point now. And one of the cool things is you can host your course through them. You could just host it right there on the server. People could pay for it. Processing is done right there on the server. But here's the other thing. If you don't have Kajabi or don't intend to use it, there are other options for you. You could use something like Udemy. You could use Teachable. You could use Thinkific. One second. Woo! Nice sneeze there. That'll be great for the podcast. I'll probably take that out of the podcast. Those of you watching on video, you have the benefit of that sneeze being part of your recording. My apologies. But again, if you don't use Kajabi, you could use things like Udemy, Teachable, Thinkific, or Coursera, and they will host your course content and they'll process the payments for you. So that's an option. But number 6, you could also offer some mini services. And I'm sure that I kind of bring that up because I'm sure that there are odds and ends that you're good at that others might be willing to pay for you to do. And if you make these things available online, you put a reasonable price tag on them and then add an opportunity for people to be able to purchase this on your website, just see what happens. You might be pleasantly surprised to learn that the kind of help that you offer is something that others would be happy to pay you to do. We actually have one of our members here who does various forms of graphic design for people. And we were talking about some of his pricing just a few minutes ago and ways in which he could offer his services. Well, you might have different unique services that you offer or odds and ends or mini services that you could make available to people that they would be happy to pay you to do. This is just a small list of suggestions, but I bring these up because I think each of these options can help you gradually generate a healthy income online. The important thing, though, is you got to start making some options available. And it's often the tasks that seem so routine and easy to us that end up striking other people as like your superpower. So make your superpowers available online, get your income train rolling, consider some of these options, and just think about, what does your audience need? What are you selling? Or if you haven't yet monetized your online platform, just begin thinking, is there one of these categories that would ideally serve the client base that you're trying to serve? I think that this is an important thing. Like I mentioned at the start of our episode, I love to encourage people to monetize their online platform, because if you monetize your online platform, you're more likely to be able to do it for the long term. And you're also more likely to create more content and serve more people over time. You're able to dedicate more time to what you're doing. That contributes to you serving more people. So what are you selling? Is it what your audience needs? Utilize one of these options. I'd love to hear from you if you do. Just send me an email to john@platformlaunchers.com. That's john@platformlaunchers.com. And again, you could go to platformlaunchers.com to just find a variety of content that we have available for you right there, including our 21-day platform development planning guide right there on our website that's downloadable for free, and it'll help you build, grow, and monetize your online platform. We hope you check it out. But that's it for us this week. Thanks again for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be able to spend this time together with you. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week as well, and we look forward to catching up with you again right here next time. Take care.